Welcome to ESL RPG, and thank you for joining us for stories again. This time, let me tell you the story of a truly absurd, crazy character, and what he can show teachers about the rule of cool, and what he can tell players about embracing their characters. We will come back to this character for other stories in the future, but I think I will start with just these two. First, who is this character? He is Father Jack. If you are from Ireland, yes, that one. If you are confused, that would be an ecumenical matter. Let me explain. Father Jack is a character I made for a 3.5 D&D epic campaign. As made in that game, he is a Gitzerai, half-crazy, lecherous, and perpetually drunk monk, whose main pursuit is more drinking, women, and fun. Let's talk about how I embraced my character in Father Jack. First step was answering the question, who is Father Jack? Father Jack is famous for his limited vocabulary. That was part 1 for me. Part 2 was acting like a perpetually angry old man who only found happiness in drink and debauchery. This we took a little literally, as one rule with Father Jack was every time he drank, I drank. Part 3 was bricky. Since the class allowed me to use anything as a weapon, I decided my character's signature weapon would be the original character's pet, a brick on a rope. That was mostly everything for Father Jack, but who your character is may include a background or history. All of this sets what character you are embracing. Now, let's ask how. Embracing your character in-game is really about 2 questions balanced against each other. First, what would my character do? What would Father Jack do is easy. Drink, chase pretty women, and fight. This ultimately means making choices as your character would, rather than you personally. But doing only this can lead to some bad situations your party may not like, such as a character acting selfishly, or not considering their actions. So you balance what would my character do against how can I make this fun for everyone. A character who thinks little past immediate impulses can easily cause problems and not be fun. So I decided to make Father Jack the lovable troublemaker of the party. Not a great idea, as that meant our party had 2.5 troublemakers, but that's a story for another time. How our party came together is a mess of impulsive actions, lucky rolls, and misunderstandings. It will be a future lesson for GMs on adapting to character chaos and storylines going off the rails. However, that first adventure unified our party and firmly set our characters' goals and relationships. First, Father Jack lived for booze and fun. The party learned quickly that if you help him with this, he would consider you a good friend he should help or protect. Nobody, meanwhile, followed Father Jack around because he offered opportunities to get more money. Kit loved chaos and found Father Jack's lack of forethought led to hilarious situations. Kyoko balanced the curiosity of what idiotic thing Jack or nobody would do next against trying to keep them out of trouble. Her player had a lot of fun with this last part. Let me demonstrate these ideas and tell you of Father Jack and the double dwarf drink-off. Our party arrives in a new, larger city, one with an embassy for Kyoko's people, and Father Jack disguised as an elf to avoid more misunderstandings. As such, Kyoko went off to do respectable diplomatic things. Father Jack and nobody made their way to the bar. Father Jack walks right up to the bar, drops some money on the counter, and barks, "Drink!" The stout dwarf behind the counter grunts derisively and puts a tankard of cheap ale in front of him. Drink is drink, so Father Jack drains the tankard. But good drink is good drink, so he refills it with alcohol from his personal stash and shoves it back at the dwarf. "Here!" The dwarf is mildly surprised to have an elf offer him alcohol from a keg he carries around. And even more surprised that it is both very strong and very high quality. Devious grin spreads across his lips. "You know your booze, you and me. Let's drink head to head. Winner gets 10 platinum." A silence spreads across the bar, so deep You can hear moisture dripping down the mugs. Father Jack completely ignores this with a yeast! After all, in his book, that's free booze and free gold. Nobody was a money-grubbing, thieving artificer of a gnome, so he set to work. Using the distraction as a cover to pick pockets, he adds to the confusion, breaking the silence with, "Place your bets now! 5-1 odds in favor of the barkeep!" The silence shatters with cheers, gossip spreading out into the streets, and bets loudly being yelled. "Against the elf? 50 on the barkeep! 30 gold here, 20 on the elf! 10! Soon the commotion and the crowd grew until it reaches the embassy. Kyoko, the straight-laced noble daughter, is trying to represent her family to the ambassador. That fell apart the minute she heard, "An elf has challenged their barkeep to a drinking contest," from a winded messenger. Immediately, as a grin spreads across her player's face, Kyoko shakes her head, apologizes to the ambassador, and attempts to both deflect any trouble and gain more intelligence on the situation. She and Kit snap into action, though, as they learn that this barkeep has beaten small dragons in such contests. They step out of the embassy and race to the bar. The streets are packed, spectators and gamblers backed up for blocks to get a glimpse of this contest against the local hero. Kyoko immediately attempts damage control as Kit, the young dragon druid who spends most of his life running around as a dog, disappears into the growing crowd. Inside the bar, Father Jack and the dwarven bartender are in their third round, with sounds of betting and cheers erupting all around them. Almost as soon as whole mugs of distilled and aged liquor are placed on the table, they disappear down their throats with no signs from either of wavering. About that time, Father Jack feels a wet nose on his leg. Father Jack is Father Jack. And Kit is one of those people who has given him booze in the past. So, "Puppy want drink?" And with that, Kit joins the contest as a dog. With an old man shout of, "5 copper on the dog!" everything commences. Round 4, mugs on the table. Drink! Bottoms up. Bets keep running. Round 5, stronger ale in full tankards. Drink! Bottoms up. Round 6, 4 to 5 wine. Tankards down. Drink! Bottoms up. Round 7, frost distilled beer. Tankards down. Bottoms up. Round 8, strong mead. Tankards down. Bottoms up. Father Jack is mildly swaying. The dwarf is slowly revealing his dirty trick as he bumps his head while swapping places with his twin brother. The dog is smiling. The crowd is baying. Round 9, round 10, round 11. Finally, round 12. The dirty love child of cider and moonshine. Pint glasses down. A mumbled drink from the dwarves. Bottoms up. Father Jack sways, barely staying in his chair. Kit just smiles, his tongue lolling out. The twins slump forward, out like a light, and the bar falls silent. Quickly, Kyoko confers with the ambassador. The local tradition is that the winners will provide a round of free drinks out to the house. However, the bartender himself, who would control the flow of drinks, is unconscious. "Oh gods, I'm leaving now!" Kyoko says, washing her hands of things. Father Jack, Kit, and Nobody open the bar for free drinks for all comers, while secretly pocketing a full supply of good booze for future fueling of Jackian rampages. That story should explain embracing characters from everyone's perspective. It also touches some on the rule of cool. This, for GMs, is, if what a player tries can be awesome, give them the chance. If they make it awesome. Does this mean players can do anything because it's cool? Well, kind of, but not really. Cool things are usually hard, but having the chance and rewarding daring attempts with amazing feats makes the story more interesting and fun for everyone, not to mention encouraging your players to try and do more interesting things in the future. To better explain, let's tell the story of the boat and the dragon. In this section, Our heroes are trying to outrun a cult of Lolth, not least of which for Jackian reasons. For some reason, they think ships help. They hire a ship to take them across the seas, unaware that the servants of Lolth have more than just priests with defiant daughters and incompetent monks at their disposal. Their ship is set upon by a dragon, snapping off the mast and crippling the vessel. At this point, my first question as a player is, hey, that mast is a big stick basically, so can I use it as a weapon? Our GM looks confused for a second. How much can you lift? Well, my strength right now is 44, so 2 tons is a light load. Okay, yes. Wait, that means your push drag is over 20 tons? I guess, yeah. Okay, noted. In that case, yeah, the mast is a reach weapon for you, so do your attacks. Later on in the fight, the dragon swoops down for a strafing run. Wait, do I get an attack of opportunity? Our GM quickly realizes that Father Jack had a 50-foot club. Sure. I mean, he's passing through over 50 feet of space where you can hit him. Go for your full attack. Full attack with Father Jack meant smacking a dragon 7 times with a thick, long, heavy stick. A huge handful of dice leads to multiple crits, well over 100 damage and beatings. The dragon strafed himself into a burial at sea, and the GM ruled that he was hit so hard the mast broke in half. But this is only the beginning of the rule of cool. As everyone is relaxing, Kyoko smacks Father Jack. Great going, Wingnut! You killed the dragon, but now we can't even fix the sails. There's no oars. How are we gonna move this ship? Meanwhile, a devious grin spread across Kit's face as, out of character, his player realized something. A few minutes later, Kyoko is cursing stupid, young, idiot dragons and their crazy ideas. Nobody is freaking out while he finds the strongest, sturdiest thing below decks and ties himself to it. Father Jack is ankle deep in the wood of the deck, holding 2 mast halves with dragon wings nailed to the ends of them. He is very drunk and very confused. Then Kit summons a hurricane and tells Jack to flap like crazy. So begins the rolls of insanity that were totally not sanity rolls because that's a different game. Everyone below deck rolled to not get tossed around the room, or to keep their lunch down, or to keep from screaming. Father Jack rolled strength check after strength check to keep the boat flying across the waves as the storm began to surround them. Kit rolled to try and keep the worst of the storm from smashing the ship to pieces. Kyoko rolled her eyes and cursed dragons and Githzerai alike. He mostly just rolled around because he was rolling badly. 2 hours in game, 10 minutes of rolls punctuated by laughter and cursing, and some sobering up later, we find ourselves a week closer to our destination than planned, but probably delayed by 2 weeks' worth of repairs. After all, our ship lost its most important stick. Well, not exactly, but those don't really just glue back together. Hopefully this helps you understand how you as a player can better embrace your character. Or, if you are a teacher or a new GM, now you understand the importance of letting players try new awesome things. Either way, thank you for watching to the end. If you like what you see, tell your friends about us and check out our podcast. Also, consider supporting us by becoming a patron on Patreon. Finally, a big thanks to our patron, Corrector of Grounded Falcons, and the real Sensei of Stone, King Michael. Thank you for your support.